My name is Kim Garrett. I am the GIS analyst and developer at Davidson County, and my little presentation is about Boone, who is the fire dog at Davidson County. And what they came to us, our fire marshal essentially came to us, they wanted a way to track metrics, different things with Boone, between how many cups they fed him, keeping track of like what kind of activities they use to train him. But a little bit, there we go. I haven't used briefings before, so it might take me a minute to get through. Okay. Just a little bit about Boone. He is a 2-year-old American Field Retriever lab. He's also very cute and cuddly. If you get the chance to meet him, if you're ever in Davidson County, I would suggest it. He was purchased so that Davidson County Fire Marshal's Office would have an ignitable liquids detection lab, canine for fires. He cost $15,000 and was trained in California in 2023. And both Boone and his handlers are both certified for Accelerant Detection Association as the Ignitable Liquids Detection Team. Say that 3 times fast. He has assisted in 10 fires since joining the team I believe it was mid-last year, and with 7 of those actually leading to arrests for arson. This is one of his handlers. It's not his main handler, but this is one of them, and it's just kind of showing some of the stuff he's been working on to train with. Some key metrics that they wanted us to collect with Survey 123 is the amount of food Boone receives daily, as I mentioned earlier, types of training conducted, and what types of ignitable liquids were used in the training. And after we collect the data from the survey, which they use wherever they're out in the field. We have a dashboard, which ensures Boone is not over or undertrained. It can be used in court if or when Boone's training is called into question, and assists the fire marshal's office in tracking where Boone is used on fire scenes using a geolocation option in a survey. And this is a picture of his main handler, John. I'll scroll through the survey briefly. They gave us the metrics they wanted us to have in there for them to keep track of. So it has the date and the time. They really wanted the day of the week, address, and then if they don't have the address, we can use the geolocation on the map. The handler, which I believe there were 3 different ones. And the activity types, which this one only has, I think, 6. It seems like from what I've seen on the dashboard, they've only used a couple of them frequently. And then I added a note for special notes and activities for liquid choices. We'll scroll. Some of these are required, some of them are not. The activities weren't required, but they asked us to put them in there. And it has a bunch of different options they can choose from, as well as the types of liquids they use for their training. And it also has a slider for the amount of cups they feed him. And then again, more additional notes. And I also put a thing in there for audio in case they wanted to have an audio recording of a specific note that might have been too long for them to type, especially if they were out in the field, as well as an option to upload some images. And then they just hit submit, and that takes us to the dashboard, which hopefully it will, good, it looks right on here. So these are the main metrics they wanted. They wanted to have a pie graph that showed all the different activities, and you can click on a pie piece, and it automatically adjusts the days of the week to just that specific task, and then also adjusts to the accelerant used. And at the bottom, the type of activity, it adjusts as well. Click on that. And also, we put a second activity task because sometimes they did use a second one, but it wasn't as frequent. But it also does the same thing where it'll change the days of the week as well as the times of the feedings, because they wanted to make sure they were feeding them kind of around the same time. I also added this because I thought it might be useful, is the task to bowl ratio table. So it has each task that he used to train him with how many bowls of food he's been given for that specific task. And the training locations wasn't something they really wanted, but now that they've been using this a lot more often, you can kind of get an idea of where they've been doing some of the training. And some of these, I believe, are probably not just training, but actually in the field. I'll probably have to zoom out a little bit, but there's some up at the top, it looks like in Forsyth County, and there's some where they've taken him for show, just to kind of do demonstrations. So some of these aren't exactly like fires, but we have that in there. I'm going to turn that off. And this is the type and the amount of food that they give him, or bowls of food per day. So it looks like the 19th, so that's today. So far, they've only given him 3. And I think we set it to where it only goes back 20-something days, because they've been doing this since last August, so that would be a lot of scrolling. So we only have it going back for about a month. And I thought it'd be interesting to put in a metric in there that shows how many hours since he was last trained, because they try to do it every day. Sometimes if it's a holiday, they fill out the forms a little bit later, but they keep track of it for the record so they can do it then. And to date, Boone has been fed 854 cups of food. And he's done 3 cater drills, 8 fire scenes, 29 obedience, and 164 IGLs. And I believe they also have the option to select by the date. If there was like an instance where they were called into court and they needed to find a specific date when the fire occurred, they could use this option, or they could just search by the handler name as well and pick one of the 3 that they usually use to train him. And I believe that is all. I can click on other things if you want to see, but that's generally they're all connected to one thing. Most of the bar graph and the pie charts are connected to the metrics at the bottom, but everything else to the right of the dashboard isn't really connected to anything like that. But that's pretty much it. So.
Questions?
Yeah.
What was the main benefit that you saw to using ArcGIS dashboards?
They really wanted to see like a visual representation of what they were doing with Boone, because I think they were using a different type of, I don't think it was Excel, but they were using a different form, and they weren't getting a good representation of what their work was going towards. And adding the map, actually, they didn't think about that, but they thought it was pretty beneficial. But they really like this, because now mostly it's for court cases, because if he does get called into court, I don't think it's happened yet, but since there's been some arson cases, it may come up into question. They have a dash where they can show and say, yes, he knows what he's doing. We were training him to do what he is doing. He knows how to do this kind of thing. I think that was really the key point we picked up from them that would be the most beneficial for using the dashboard. It is public. It is public. It's public, yeah. I think it's. I'm pretty.
This is kind of my favorite so far, because you get a dog, so.
Oh, he's a cute dog too. He's very sweet. I've only got to see him a couple.
Has dogs.
Yeah.
So this is a great use of that.
Yeah, it's. I'm pretty sure it's public, because. Yeah. I can check, but I'm pretty sure it's. Is it public, Jason?